Welcome to our Monday night meetup. Tonight is going to be extra special because this is someone, I don't know if you ladies were able to join us on our very first week of kicking off our Monday night meetups, but Akina was on with us to speak briefly about her platform. And for those of you who may have missed that, she is someone that I have followed for several years, and her content and the empowerment has even helped me during my lowest points. And
Mm,
she was one of the very first people that I reached out to in regards to being featured for our Monday night meetups. And this particular platform is dedicated to both empowering and equipping women and their families with the tools to heal and also to improve their lifestyles. And so for us, it was just such an honor, Akina, for you to agree during our very first week before we even really got this lifted off of the ground to support the mission. And for those of you who have missed her bio, it is amazing. I've posted it also on Facebook and IG. But Akina, I'm actually going to turn it over to you for you to share um, your story and background before you go into tonight's topic,
mm,
which I'm very, very excited about healing your wounded feminine and masculine energy.
mm,
Uh,
mm, mm.
it's that I know it's multifaceted, Akina, and I know for you and even preparing for this, it was a lot to say, okay, which direction do we take this in with the amount of time? So
Yeah.
thank you again, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tiara. And thank you for creating such an amazing space. Hello, everyone. Thank you for making the time to do this evening. I don't take it for granted for you to decide that you want to be a woman who's healing, because most of us who are healing, we are also healers. We're always on that spectrum. So as you're healing others, you have to heal, and it's so critical. So I honor you and honor your time. So Tara asked me to share a bit about my story before I go right into it. My name is Ekene, as she said, and if you can't tell by my name or my accent, I am not I'm not a Georgia peach. Okay. Okay, hold on a second. I hear some noise. So I'm going to ask if you guys mute your phones. Yeah, mute your lines just for the sake of clarity. And then I'm sure at some point Tiara has a Q&A that she can open up. So I was saying that I'm not a Georgia peach, but I do live in Atlanta now, and I call Georgia home. I was born in the US, but I wasn't raised here. I was raised in Nigeria, where my family is from. And so I have roots in both places. I came back to the United States when I was 16, going on 17, and have lived here ever since. I'm in my 40s, so you can imagine I've been here for quite some time. I do work now across the diaspora, so I'm traveling constantly and focus on leadership, women's leadership across the world, and I'm blessed to be able to do this work. But before I did this, which I started Refresh officially in 2012, I really got into gear right around 2014, 2015. But before I even shifted, I used to be a pharmacist. And so the word healing has many layers for me. I was a pharmacist for about 17 years. And in those 17 years, I saw so many things, like, just with the white coat and dealing with people coming through your pharmacy looking for drugs for different things. So I would see so many successful people, in particular women, and they would be super successful, doing really well. I happen to work in many of the successful neighborhoods, right? So in Atlanta, I worked at Hills, Buckhead, in Boston, and DC, all of these quote unquote very, upper class enclaves. And so you would see people who had all the big titles, but when you see their drug profile, you know that despite the money, despite the success, despite the achievement, all was not quite well. And so it really made me reflect on the other side of success that we don't always talk about, and made me aware of healing. And so my very first foray into Refresh was to create an event for women to just come together and have a day to, and that's the word, refresh. I also had my own personal story. So as I was watching other people, and you know, you're most attracted to what is most familiar to you. And I was seeing it in other people because it was happening in me as well. I also was dealing with the other side of success. I had checked all the boxes. I was a pharmacist. I was making six figures. I bought a home. I was married. I had a child, yada, 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 all the things I was supposed to do. But I was deeply unhappy, deeply unfulfilled. I didn't know myself. I had lost myself in so many ways. Some of the things I'm going to be talking to you about today, I exhibited 100%. I didn't know anything about feminine and masculine energy back then. I was just clueless, right? I was living the life I had been taught to live, though. I had done everything I was supposed to do, but I wasn't equipped to really be my best self. And so when I came to a breaking point, so my life came to a breaking point, and I was fortunate because I was getting messaging at work from people. Like, I remember a woman came into the pharmacy, she just broke down crying. I asked her, you know, do you need some help? She wanted something to help her to go to bed, to go to sleep. She couldn't sleep. And just by me asking her another question, she broke down crying. And then we sat down and we talked. And then she came back again and said, can I talk? And people would come to talk with me and just share with me. They're not looking for medication. They just wanted support and just affirmation. And I was able to provide that for them. And so the seed of coaching sort of was planted. At the same time, I knew that I could no longer do what I was doing. I knew that I could no longer be a pharmacist. I had gotten myself to a place where in my life, I was deeply unhappy. Physically, it was showing up in my body. I didn't look like myself. I didn't feel like myself. My family, there were just so many markers of the dissatisfaction in different parts of my life. And finally it came to a head. And there is a saying, there's a quote by Annie Nin that really reflected where I was. The quote says, and the day came that the pain to remain in the bud was more than the pain that it took to blossom. And that day came for me. I was at the point where I knew I could not continue. And in fact, I had taken a leave of absence from work as a pharmacist. I took the full FMLA, 12 weeks, I think. And at the end of that 3 months, it was time to go back to work. I called my boss to see if I could get an extension. And she said, if you don't turn up at work tomorrow, you don't have a job. I pulled the car to the side of the road. I was in tears. I was in full-on anxiety. I called my sister and I told her what was going on. And she said, again, life is too short. And this, you sound terrible. You sound like you're going to die. Please quit the job. You can get another job. That's what she said. Now, mind you, she wasn't paying my bills though. But that was, it was the best wisdom she could offer at the time. And I decided that was what I was going to do. And I went ahead and did that. And I jumped into the water and I had to figure out how to build this boat in the water, which is why I'm so passionate now about supporting women so that they don't get to that point of pain where they make a rash decision. I'm grateful I did what I did, but I recognize it is by grace that I was able to find my way. Some people, the struggle is too much. They can't they can't find their way, or they don't make it, or they give up and they go back. Not everyone is able to build that boat in the water. It's a very hard way to go. But for me, I was able to do it. And now I'm really dedicated to supporting women in answering their call to significance and elevating their lives, and in doing the healing work necessary to really step up and take their place. So that's in a nutshell who I am. Once I answered the call, I started my work, and one step after another, I went back to school. I got certified in social emotional intelligence coaching, which is my primary modality. I'm certified in diversity and inclusion training. I went back to school and I studied organizational and change leadership at Georgetown. And And I've done many other trainings since then, just to keep refining the craft and making sure that the work I do has more and more value. And at the moment, I run retreats and workshops and masterminds. And I also work with organizations. I do executive coaching through with corporate organizations, but also with individuals. I also have the opportunity to do some trainings with different companies across the world. So it's been quite extraordinary. And I truly believe that the scripture is true, that your gifts will make room for you and bring you before great men. And so I have been fortunate to be able to do that. So, Tiara, I don't know if you wanted to say something before I go right into it, or should I go right into it?
Yeah, we're ready for you to jump. It's so much. I mean, it's so much that you can teach. And I see ladies who have not been able to make some of the other weeks.
Sina!
Um, so I am very, very, very excited. I'm very
I'm excited.
excited. Um,
Oh, good.
a lot of ladies who are going to benefit from your content. And um, what I would like to say for those of you who missed the intro is also, let me mute this person, um, is that one reason that I reached out to Akine first, amongst the first group of ladies, was because she lives this content. This is not something, even though, as you can tell with the academia and her studies, she combines it with real life experience, and that's what I love so much. If you follow her on Facebook and you scroll down, you'll see what I mean with her content, and it will definitely bless you. So, Akina, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Tiara. And I just have to say this first, though, because I feel the same way. So Tiara is telling me that she follows me, and I've been following Tiara for a long time, since she had her shop. So, and I really honor the work that you do and the authenticity, the vulnerability. It's so powerful. And it is a wonderful thing to see women succeeding with grace. I think we need to see more and more of that. And so I truly am grateful for you choosing to walk this walk the way you do, and for all of you and your community. It's just phenomenal. And so I'm honored to be here tonight. So, yeah, I do. I live this every day. And I'm hoping that at the end of this particular talk, you're going to have some awareness. You're going to have some ahas. You're going to change the way you show up, and you're going to have incredible results as a result. So I'm going to try and share my screen. I hope I can. Let's see. Okay. Share screen. All right. So,
Nice.
yes, we have to try and do it right? Okay, here we go. So the whole idea of today is to really talk about being a woman in harmony. I'm going to be sharing about feminine and masculine energy. And if you look at nature, pretty much everything has a masculine and a feminine, because we are meant to be in balance. A lot of the great philosophies of the world, like yin and yang, they all have this idea of balance. And we are at our best when we are in harmony. And so today, that's the goal, right? To talk about what it means to be in harmony, how we can get back whole, how we can stay healthy. Okay. And I've already told you who I am, so I'm not going to go deeper into that, but I am going to start by acknowledging the reality of the world that we live in. So if you're out of harmony, understand that you are out of harmony because the world is teaching you to be that way. We have been taught to pursue success only the masculine way. And I'll tell you what that means in a minute. But we only have one modality. And if you listen to the language, it's just now that people are becoming more aware and more open to things that are typically feminine. Intuition, spirituality. We're seeing a rise of that now because the world is shifting. We've been in the masculine modality for so long. Thank you, dear. Thanks. For so long, and we have missed so much of the feminine. And now the world is sort of reorienting itself because we can't continue the way we have. In fact, if you look at the way the world is, when we get into the wounded masculine, you'll see evidence of it in at the communal level. You will see what has happened because we've been out of harmony as a community for so long. And so it's imperative that not only do we as individuals return to a whole self, and we as women return to our womanhood, but it is necessary for us to do that, take our place in the world, to also create the shift. Okay. I would love, if you have questions as I go along, please put them in the chat box or raise your hand, because I want to be able to make sure that this is resonating and that it is interactive. If you need to say something, feel free, just so that we make sure that you get it. Right? I want to make sure that we're all together and you're getting it. Let me see if I can get that chat box. Okay, great. So I'll put the chat box over here. All right. So can we all agree with that? Can you all see how the world, the way you've been doing it, is hashtag hustle, hashtag grind, I'll sleep when I'm dead, hustle. That whole energy is all about the masculine. The idea of flow is about the feminine, and we're now beginning to get it. Like shorthand for masculine and feminine energy is masculine is go, feminine is flow. Okay. So let's take a look at some of the reasons, the ways we struggle when we're not whole. When we're out of balance, out of harmony, we struggle. You might be successful. You might have the numbers, like you might be hitting your goals financially. You might be making the money. You might have the title. But here's what I see when women are not whole, when they're out of balance, out of harmony. These are some of the things they struggle with. And tell me if any of these resonate with you or someone you know. We struggle with feeling lonely and isolated. How many people can connect to that? We struggle with feeling content. How many people can connect with you've hit your goals or you did okay, and then you get on Facebook or you get on Instagram and all of a sudden it feels as if what you did was so small. And like, gosh, am I even doing anything at all? We live inauthentic lives because there's just so much pressure, right? And we start to mask our pain. So we're inauthentic. We're always doing just fine. We're okay. Or we're winning, or, living my best life, Black girl magic. All of these things are great things, but they can become ways that we mask. And so we're not being honest. We don't know that we can be both at the same time, that you can be both a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. We feel pressure to be extraordinary. How many people feel that pressure? I hear that all the time. Because right now we're living in this age where everyone is being called to answering the higher calling. And it is true that we all have a higher calling, but the higher calling looks different for everybody. For some people, that higher calling is going to be elevated, is going to be like a Barack Obama type person, a Michelle Obama type person. For other people, it's going to be that woman who makes sure that every kid in her neighborhood gets a hot lunch. And no one ever really knows who she is. She's never really celebrated, but her impact is incredible. So we have to get out of this idea that we have to be validated as extraordinary before we're extraordinary. So we feel pressure to be validated as extraordinary. We struggle in relationships. I can relate to this. A lot of people can relate to this. This knowledge that I'm going to tell you about was, for me, the way it came about for me was at a time I was trying to understand some of the dynamics that were happening for me personally in my relationship, romantic, but also as a mom, also in my relationships with my friendships. I was trying to understand some of the dynamics and some of the ways I was showing up and the ways people were reacting to me. I was trying to figure that out. And so I started to really deep dive into an understanding of myself as a woman. And that's how I began to become aware of this idea of feminine and masculine energy and operating in the masculine. And it was like a light bulb. And I spent 2 years literally consuming every piece of content, reading from some of the great philosophers of our time, trying to understand even what other ethnicities have been saying about feminine and masculine, because it's not unique to it's not a Western idea, actually. It's been, if you read all these different, even the great religions talk about it. So I was really just trying to understand it and going deep, and it was extraordinary. As soon as I got it, I thought, wow. And it began to change the way I showed up. Yes, like Tara, I became aware of the masculine. And I started infusing it into my work. And I remember once I got it and I started teaching and I started coaching through it, the women that I was connecting to and the way I was able to serve them, so they could still be successful, but they could do it through their womanhood, not in spite of their womanhood. Because so many of us are being taught to succeed in spite of our womanhood. The way that women are taught, the way we speak to women, even, when we talk about negotiation, we talk about confidence, we talk about it in such a way that some of our natural feminine desires are almost like weaknesses. And so we're saying, no, women typically do this. We need to do this. I understand the results, because I also know that we do need to be more confident. We do need to negotiate. We do need to ask for what we deserve, right? But you don't have to do it in spite of your womanhood. You can actually go through your womanhood to the success that you desire. So, and one of the biggest things is we struggle with truly loving ourselves. Now, we talk about self-love. A lot of people sound good. They say good. They say it. They talk about it. Exactly. Tiara just said, sometimes I didn't think I was soft enough. So many of the women I talk to, deep down inside, they worry that they're not feminine enough. They feel as if they've lost the essence of their womanhood. And in some ways, they have become hard. I know that I certainly was that way. I certainly went and I'm going to, let me share with you what it looks like. And once we get there, I'll tell you exactly kind of what I manifested. So let's first talk about what the healthy feminine and healthy masculine look like. Excuse me. It's been a long day, so I'm really thirsty. So the healthy feminine, that feminine part of you, and let me say that majority of women lead with their feminine. We're naturally oriented to lead with our feminine, even if we're not actually doing that day to day. That is how we're naturally created. I'm one of those women who is created to lead with her feminine. You're loving, you're in flow, you're nurturing, you're more creative, you radiate joy. And when you're radiant, you're attracting things to you rather than going after things. People are coming to you. When I'm 100% in my healthy feminine, I find that things just come to me. Opportunities come to me. People call. I was thinking about you. I listened to this and I knew you'd be perfect for this. And so opportunities are just coming to me, right? And I'm more still. I'm less harried. Today, I'll tell you quite honestly, I'm feeling super exhausted. And one of the reasons why was I didn't do a good job with controlling my schedule. And I forgot my daughter's schedule and I didn't plug it into my main schedule. So I was saying yes to things that I should have really said no to, because I ended up having too much on my plate. And when I'm harried, and a lot of women are used to just being harried, like I didn't do more than a lot of women do every day. Some women literally live the way I did today, every day. I am so drained. I came back, I just said, I had to cut one thing out. I said, I don't care. I'm going to lay down. I cannot do one more thing. And I used to operate like this all the time. And I was busy, 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 boom, boom, like a ping pong ball, just going here, running from this place, running from pillar, dropping this person out, running to this, and, catching this in just 5 minutes. And everything has to be like precision, military precision. And otherwise the whole schedule is going to fall apart. That's a very masculine way to live. And the feminine is more flow and stillness. And when I'm in my feminine, I'm very mindful about my schedule. And I'll say no to a few things. I'll say, listen, we have to figure it out, because I know that I'm not at my best when I'm like that. I get short-tempered. I don't show up at my best, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the feminine is stillness. The feminine is receptive. So when things come to you, you receive them. You're more open to ideas. You're more open to being loved. That when you're out of balance in your feminine, even when someone is trying to love you, it's hard for you to receive the love. So how many people have ever had an experience, just even on the small scale, someone is trying to take your bag for you or carry some or help you with something. And you say, no, it's okay. I got it. You're not really receiving. Or someone gives something to you and then you have to give something right back. So they pay you a compliment. You look really nice today. Thank you. You did too. Whether you mean it or not is not even the point. It's that you feel like you have to give something back because you are uncomfortable just receiving. And so today I walked into I had a speaking engagement first thing in the morning, and the host of the engagement who had invited me to come said, oh, how did she said something really kind. She said, oh, the star has arrived or something like that. She was being a bit funny, but I said, you know what? Thank you. I received that. The old me would not have been able to receive it. The old me would have been trying to push it away or, oh, come on, or no, you're the star, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but you're not receiving. Yes, Lander says, that's so me. I'm so used to doing it all. I don't accept help readily. And that's when you're in your masculine. When you're in your feminine, you're able to receive. There's a tenderness that you can have when you're in your feminine. And sometimes when we're not, we're brash, we're rude, like you're so sharp, you're abrasive to be around. Who's ever been around someone who's like that? And it's not that they're not nice, it's that they're stuck in their masculine or they're wounded, which I'll talk about in a second. You're intuitive when you're in your feminine. When you're feminine, you are aware of what's going on. You rely on that intangible knowing that is actually now being marked, like now they're researching it, and people are beginning to say that intuitive intelligence is actually the highest form of intelligence. Masculine doesn't really talk about that because masculine is all about doing, is all about, I have to see it, it's logic, it's focused, but intuition is just this amorphous knowing. When you are in your feminine, you have an understanding about this. You have a knowing. I don't know why we shouldn't do it, but I just know we shouldn't do it. You make better decisions, actually, when you are more intuitive. You connect to that higher realm. Yes, Tiara, yes, you've grown. It takes time to embrace it. You have to be able to develop it, cultivate it. You have to honor it, trust it, act on it. It takes time to do that. You're in your healthy, emotional, expressive place. So when you are in a healthy feminine, you can express emotion in a healthy way versus in an unhealthy way, which I'll talk about in a second. You are sensual when you're in your feminine. I'm not talking about this sexual thing that is designed, and that overtly sexual piece, like nothing wrong with twerking and all of that, but that's actually a very directed activity designed to get a result. So that's actually more masculine behavior. When you are being overtly sexual, designed for the male gaze, it's like I'm trying to snatch that desire by force. It's a very masculine thing. But when you're in your feminine, it's a more sensual thing. You're sensuous, you're sensual, you have an appreciation of yourself, you have an appreciation of your body. You don't move, you may show a little skin if that's your thing, but it's not really about the male gaze. It's like, I am loving the way my shoulder looks today. I love the way my curves look today, and I want to show this beauty off, and I want to celebrate it, not from a place of I want to pull someone's desire to me. It's just I'm living just the way a flower opens up and blooms. That's sensuality and that femininity. And you're in that feeling place. You're more in tune with how you feel. You're more in tune with how other people feel. So that really matters. It's relationships over results. It's people over process. Now, when you're in your masculine, that also has value, right? I know the feminine sounds so delicious too, especially to those of us that have been in our masculine for so long. The feminine just sounds like, oh my gosh, I could live in this space forever. And if you feel that way, you probably are missing it. And also you probably definitely lead from your feminine. So for me, I lead from my feminine. So a lot more of my energy, when I'm more in the feminine. However, you do need a strong masculine piece as well, right? So you need that. So the feminine is the flow, the masculine is the go. If you're all flow and no go, then you're all, deliciousness, but no direction. And so you're just doing nothing. You're floating, right? And there's nothing happening. We have purpose. Women have a purpose. There's something that you're here to do. So you do need that directionality part to be able to achieve things. So if you're someone who's always, you have great ideas, but you can't execute, you may be weak in your masculine. If you are someone who you've done your vision board, for example, vision boards are very, very in the feminine, right? Done your vision board, done your dreaming, but then you never take action, then you're weak in your masculine. If you're someone who you're all about love all day long, but then people walk all over you, you have no boundaries, you're weak in your masculine. So if you're weak in your masculine, there's a cost to that. Just like if you're someone who is always like hardcore, you're not going to mess with me. You get everything done. You run roughshod over everyone else, and then you can be weak in your feminine. And that has a cost too. But you have to also, you want to be balanced in both areas. You want to be strong in both areas, even if you have more feminine energy. But the masculine energy you have is necessary. So masculine energy is confident. It's clear. So when I talk to someone and I say, what are your goals? Well, I want to feel abundant. That's awesome. That's a feminine energy type of word, abundant. Okay. But then I need you to get clear. And clarity is always specific. What does abundance look like? Abundance looks like me bringing in my business, turning an income, bringing in a revenue of, 1.25 million. That's the healthy masculine. There's clarity, there's specificity there. Then there's discipline. So just because you lead with your feminine doesn't mean that you don't get up every day. Like I had to get up this morning and I did not feel like getting out of bed on time. I didn't feel like making my bed, right? I was like, and I just want to lounge in it, quite frankly. But the healthy masculine was like, no, you deserve this. Get up, make this bed. You deserve to come home to a nice, neat bed. You deserve that. So I had to discipline and get up and honor that part of myself. It's focused. It's responsible. It's stable. It's assertive. Can you see men in this? So like the best of men, you see how they show up. Like these are like qualities of like, this is somebody's bucket list, like for a guy, like, yes, I want a man who's protective, who is strong, who can execute, right? So these are qualities that we typically associate with masculine men. And the feminine are qualities we typically associate with feminine women. Now, let me talk about how we get out of balance. Did someone have a question, Tiara?
Yeah, that's me.
Yes.
I wanted to chime in a little bit before we shift, because I think I operated more from the masculine naturally. It's interesting. I love how you're breaking this down because I am very feminine, right? So from a style, expression, all of that. Yes. But what I love is we're talking about the energy.
That's right.
Which is different because when I listen to you, I'm thinking of the mindset and the heart space and who we really are. And even though I could have on a dress and heels and all of that, when I entered the room, it was still very very, and especially in my corporate environment, I was definitely that it's about business. I'm listening, I'm paying attention, I'm ready to get down to work. And I noticed that even in entrepreneurship, that masculine energy serves very well because you're always like negotiating, it's always decision making. And honestly, just to be real with you, it becomes such a way of life that it's hard to shift into the feminine. And think about that in relationships. These men don't want to be with most of them don't want to be with a man. Most of them want to be, the guys who are heterosexual want a feminine energy, right? That's what I'm
Yes, the
saying.
polarity, that sexual polarity.
Yeah, and I'm
'Cause-
listening to you like just the receiving piece, the
Yes.
sensuality. I'm going to turn it over to you. I want to get long-winded, but
No, no, go for it.
one of my secrets, one of the secrets that I do, because I know I want to always be, I have to be mindful of the sensual piece,
Yes.
not of the sexy piece. I got that down. We're not talking about the sexy and sassy piece. I got that down, right?
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
the sensual, the soft,
Yeah.
feminine, come to me, come hither, not me grab you to come to me.
Yes. Yeah.
This is one of the secrets. So one thing about social media, it's a love-hate thing for me, right? I don't like the thirst trap thing that's going on. It's just ridiculous. The thirst trap thing is degrading for us as women, and our young girls are now aspiring to this. For those who don't know what thirst trap is, just Google it. And so the women, though, who have the sensual down, I take the little screenshots and I'll say, oh, that's a good little tip. I'm going to go and look for that. Oh, wow, look at how her skin is glowing. What product did she tag in this? And taking that extra time for self-care and pampering, almost you get, it's not dolling yourself up, is not so I look great. It's a
No, so you
feeling.
feel good. Yes.
Yeah, it's this sensual, I'm a
Yes.
queen. I want my skin
That's
to feel
right.
soft. I don't have to rush my words and my sentences. I want to feel good, smell good. I
That's right.
want to feel and connect with people, and their energy for real, right? I
Yeah.
don't want to just show up to dominate a room. I want to connect in the room. And I
Yes.
was raised by my mom, a single mom. This is where the masculine comes, because I was raised by a single
That's right. You didn't have the
entrepreneur with
covering.
3 jobs, right? That was what we grew up in. And so that's what's helped me survive. But you come out of a divorce and you go looking at, I'll leave some of the details out, but once you see what was going on and you see what some of these women are doing, some of these women have the sensual piece down. Oh my God. It is like it just comes natural, or you think it does. But you can really learn. That's what you're teaching. We can
Yes.
learn to tap into
That part of
our,
ourselves.
yes.
Yes.
We have to be conscious and say, who am I and how am I showing up today? But
Yes.
how do I want to show up?
Yes.
Michelle Obama stands out to me. You cannot get over on Michelle Obama. You
No,
cannot. First
she's
Lady Obama.
strong in both. Yes.
Right. She's
Yes.
strong in both.
And
I'm going to turn it back over to you.
thank you so much for the call out, because the one call out was, it's not about affectation, which was the dressing, the how you wear your hair and all of that, that traditional femininity. That's affectation. This is really energy. So it's not about a man who leads with his feminine doesn't have to be an effeminate man. And it is true that polarity. So when you have the strong attraction, it's polarity. Masculine repels masculine, feminine repels feminine. So most, like, if you are a strong feminine woman, you don't want an effeminate man. You are attracted, a man who leads with feminine energy. You're attracted to a man who leads with masculine energy, and vice versa. So here's some of the reasons why we get out of balance: circumstances. So Tiara mentioned being raised by a single mother. A lot of women are single mothers. If you're a single mother, or you're living in a situation where you don't have that strong masculine energy, then you tend to shift into masculine yourself, because you don't have anyone doing that. You have to be the provider. You have to be the protector. You have to get out there and hustle and make things happen. Everything rides on you. And so you naturally shift into the masculine, because you don't have it's all on you. Or if you're with somebody, you might even be with a man, but he's not doing that part, and he's letting you do all of that part. You shift. Or you can't trust him to do it. You shift. Sometimes, though, you get in a situation, it's not even that he can't do it, but you have automatically taken that role. There's two ways men respond to women who shift into the masculine. So maybe you have been in the masculine. That's how you've been. Somehow you got together with a man who is masculine, but you are in masculine. Two ways that men respond typically. They either withdraw. And so sometimes, like Tiara was sharing, sometimes he'll go elsewhere. And this is never to say that it's ever a woman's fault, because the choice is, that's the energy, what they do, but you can always say, hey, there's something off here. I'm not connecting, so this is never to assign blame. It's just to talk about typically what has happened. They'll pull away, they'll withdraw because they're needing, they can't connect to the masculine, right? And even when Tiara, when you were talking about the sensuality, what I find is not even that a lot of these women have the sensuality down, because if you're operating outside of if you're choosing to be the woman outside of a relationship, then it's hard for you to be 100% fully sensual, because sensuality to me comes from a place of love, self-love. And I know that choosing to be a lesser than partner in a legitimate partner, so to speak, is not an act of self-love. However, what they often have better down is receptivity. They are receiving, whatever he has to give, they are receiving, and they receive with fanfare, right? And you're not even able to receive anything. You're like, I got it, babe, and you're trying to help. I just started a podcast actually called the Iconic Womanhood Podcast. So you guys go check it out. It's on Apple Podcasts. And I talked about some of the things that smart women, some of the reasons why smart women make unsmart decisions. And one of the things I was talking about, how some women have this penchant to try and coach a man. And it's very difficult to be a man's coach and his woman at the same time. You try to be his coach because you see all the potential, because women, we are socialized to look for potential, while men are socialized to look for the package. And so you see all the potential. You get somebody that you feel like you're going to help him, and he's going to be I can see the king in him, and you start to coach him out. But your role is not necessarily to coach him. You're supposed to walk with him on his journey as you walk on your journey, but you try to coach him, and which kind of feels like emasculation at some point, and they start to resent you for that. So they're repelled by the masculine in your behavior, right?
Oh my God, that's you. Can I jump in?
Yes, go ahead.
What's so interesting about that is sometimes they're drawn to that ability for you to see their potential and help. But I think you hit the nail on the head when a resentment starts to come in. It's weird because it's like, and I've seen this over and over again, type A women or entrepreneur women that I know have had these husbands who were just like their biggest fans of them even being smart and successful women. But over time, something happens. Yeah. And I don't know if it's a combination of these things, of maybe not being as receptive and sensual and that. But I'm telling you, this is it. This is the last relationship where I'm being Barbara the Builder. This is it. I'm checking out of Barbara the Builder mode. I'm putting up the hard hat. I'm serious, because that is not what people think that's what they want, but it shifts the dynamic of the relationship. And then, the sensual, just let me listen, let's enjoy life, the delicate, the feminine, that's who you see everybody end up with. And it's like, the thing is, I used to think that type of person was, I guess I was saying that with my skill set and my purpose, I just kept telling myself, I'm not going to dumb myself down and act like these aren't my gifts just to be with someone. That's not what you're saying.
No, not at all.
You're saying we can own all of our greatness, all of our strength and masculinity, but this is what they mean when they say, but when you get home.
That's right.
You leave that energy. And you can also, right? Am I getting this right? Yep.
Yeah.
You come into a space of just being, not doing.
Not doing 100%. You are
Well, wait,
being.
they do want you to cook though. That's
Yeah.
the tricky thing. See,
But
that's
see, the
the tricky
cooking
thing.
though is out of nurturing, because even a man that wants you to cook, you'll find that they're not as, it's not about the cooking like the chore. It's the
Mm-hmm.
act of love that's behind. They feel nurtured. They want to be nurtured. They're attracted to the nurturing. And so
Yeah.
it's not just that she's a great cook, because men leave great cooks all the time. It's not about great cooking. It's that, oh, she nurtures me. She makes me feel cared for. That's why your kids are coming to you for that as well. They want to feel cared for. And so this, I love what you said about, it's not about dumbing yourself down. It is about, again, you stepping into this space. And I had to learn this as well. And you're saying, and even with even a great coach, because if you're a coach and you're just constantly telling people, because some people, they have the moniker coach, but they're not coaching. They're constantly telling people what they need to do. And what I found is, as you evolve more into your womanhood and you become more and more confident in your womanhood, you don't feel the need to constantly dispense advice to everyone and everywhere. You understand the value of what you have to offer, and you learn that in order for you to really be able to give something to someone, that person has to be ready to receive it. In order for them to receive it, they have to value it. And typically when someone values something, guess what? They ask for it. So you can sit with him as he's trying to figure it out. You can support him as he's trying to figure it out. You can ask questions. You can say, that sounds interesting. And you're genuinely from a place of love. And then he asks you, and you share your opinion, which is different from, let me tell you what you should do. Let me tell you what you need to do. What you need to do is that's very different from, you're listening and you're there and you're 100% present, and you're listening with the understanding that possibly he has some more awareness that you don't even have, rather than just listening, waiting for him to shut up so that you can eventually insert your opinion, because that actually does not come from a confident place. The more confident you become, and that's not healthy masculine, you don't need to keep asserting that you know. The more you need to assert that you know, there's something lacking. If you meet really confident women, they don't need to assert all the time. Sometimes they're the most quiet one in the room. And then when you ask them, they just drop the mic. And everybody's like, wow, that's amazing. So some of the reasons why we get out of balance are because of the way we've been taught to do things, right? Or the circumstances we find ourselves in. And I think, Tara, to your point about entrepreneurship, because when you get into entrepreneurship, especially when you get into it and it's a sink or swim type of thing, you don't care about feminine energy. You want to survive. And so if we need to make this amount of money to put these kids in school, to pay for this mortgage, whatever, you don't care. If I have to hustle, you hustle. That's what you do. And so it's very easy to shift into masculine, because you're thinking, gosh, I need to do this. And the feminine piece of it, like the intuition, the receptivity, can feel passive. And passive sometimes doesn't feel like powerful, even though it's a very powerful stance. Whenever I think about the healthy feminine and the powerful feminine, for those of you that are Christians or that are familiar with the Bible, just read the book of Esther and understand that the book of Esther is a feminine energy strategy to win. Pure, like from the beginning of the 6 months of detoxing to the 6 months of perfuming, right? And just really her womanhood, to the fasting and praying for 3 days, to the going before the king. But before she did that, she put on her royal robes, because the feminine appreciates beauty. So she came out beautiful, to the point that she wanted to ask him for something, and she didn't just come out and ask him. She invited him to a banquet and nourished him and nurtured him. There's so much strategy in just that simple book that talks about how to win the feminine energy way. It is powerful. It is, something that we need to do. I have a retreat every year, and feminine energy is a large part of it, because again, it's not taught. We don't talk about it. No, that information is not typically there. And so every year I bring women together. This year we're going to Puerto Rico, and that's one of our focuses. Last year we were here in Atlanta, and one of the things I took the women to do was I took them to do an aerial silks class. And the reason why they did the aerial silks class was so that they could understand that silk, while soft, right? When you touch silk is soft, it has some kinds of silk have the same tensile strength as steel. So they got into this silk, and you see women saying, can this thing hold me? And I'm like, it can hold you, get in it. And they're getting in the silk and they're sailing through the air, and they got it, that they can trust their feminine side, this soft piece. They can trust it. And that's the key, because I'm telling you that you're hearing this now. If you're used to operating in the masculine, when you try to operate in the feminine, it's going to feel so uncomfortable, so unfamiliar, so unsure. A lot of women run back to the masculine. The first time they try to operate in the feminine, even in their relationship, you're going to feel so naked and vulnerable. And especially if you've been in the masculine the whole time, and you now with a man, because I said the first one thing he does is he withdraws. The other thing that happens with a masculine woman and a man who's masculine perhaps is he may allow himself, he can be dominated in some ways, right? So he'll pull back. He may not withdraw, but he won't be his full masculine self. So he'll let you take the lead. He'll let you do all of that. And so he's in a way kind of, not that every beta male is a former alpha. Some men are just, again, they lead with their feminine. But if that's the way, it's like, who's going to, like two dogs posturing, one just like, finally, okay, you go ahead, just go ahead, you do it. Right. And so if you have created that dynamic, both of you have created that dynamic, knowingly or unknowingly, the minute you try to change the dynamic, it's going to be there's going to be some, wait, what's going on? So there will be a season of discomfort for everybody. And this is why important to know, so that you don't feel like the fact that it's uncomfortable means that it's not right. So we get into it. Yes.
Excuse me. Erica put her hand up. Erica.
Okay. I must have missed that. Sorry, Erica, go ahead.
Oh, Lord, I am getting so beat up over here. Oh, my God.
I know. Erica, right?
Because, I am going all the way back to my marriage.
Yep.
And, I've noticed I'm replaying relationships in my mind. And the men who were strong alpha males, it was easy to be in my feminine side. It was so easy. But when I feel like I see an effeminate spirit on a man, I automatically revert to the masculine side. And that's exactly what I'm dealing with now with the gentleman that I'm dating, because it agitates me when I see that when it seems as though he's in an emotional space. I can feel myself shifting to the masculine side. And I feel like we're in this battle. No, I feel like we're in this battle and constant clashing. We are clashing so much. It's crazy because we're not in our right spaces.
But Kenna, don't different people have different? That's why different alphas and betas have different energy, and the alphas are. So is she? That's right. If he's more feminine, her masculine will come out, right?
Yes, but you have to be clear on what you really lead with. So there's two things. One, is he the right fit for you? If you are a woman who leads with your feminine, are you going to be ever satisfied with a man who doesn't? Number one. So you can shift into masculine, but what I find is if you're a woman who leads with the feminine, when you shift into masculine, you'll enter into the wounded state. You will enter into this wounded state. You'll start manifesting some of these wounded tendencies. So you are in your masculine, but you're critical. That's that clashing you're talking about. You're angry. You might even be a little abusive. You're confrontational, because you're not just in your masculine, but you're now in the wounded masculine, because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So you're now taking on your role and his. If indeed you're a woman who leads with your feminine, if you're a woman who leads with your masculine, you get with a man who leads with his feminine, you actually won't have that much conflict, because that's who you are and that's who he is. But
but that's what she's saying. Like, if she's naturally masculine, but she likes the alphas where she naturally they pull that feminine out. This feminine,
Okay.
the
I think
feminine dude now keeps us more in the masculine space. So then we don't feel the feminine side of ourselves.
but the fact that you said you like, it sounded to me, and Erica, correct me if I'm wrong. I heard what I was hearing you say, I heard you say, I like it when I'm in my feminine. That's what I heard. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I did.
I like it when I'm in my feminine because that's where I really want to be.
Okay.
But and when I see, it's almost like when I see that person being more having that effeminate side, it's almost like a territorial type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
they pose
almost
the
like
masculine
you
out of
are
you.
encroaching on my feminine space. Now I've got to revert to the masculine space to give us balance because both of us can't be feminine.
Yes. But why? So this is the thing I'm trying to say. You are in control of you, right? And this is not to say anything about your current relationship, but I firmly believe this. You have to have an understanding of who you are, and who you are shouldn't shift based on who comes into your life. Who comes into your life should be dictated by who you are, not who you are being dictated by who you happen to be with. So if you're feminine with one man and masculine with another, you're shifting. But if you know, I like to lead with, I'm made to lead with my feminine, I really do better with this type of man, then you attract that kind of man by consistently being who you are. But when you are not, there's not a consistency, then you attract different types of people based on your inconsistency. And I'm not trying to beat you up. I hope you feel that love in my voice and what I'm really trying to come
Oh no,
across.
this is really helping me because this
Yes.
is so helping me.
So
Keep
Right.
going, keep going,
you
keep
know,
going, keep going.
okay, so you get clear on that, and then you do your work. Even when you're with someone who's showing those tendencies, you don't have to shift into masculine. You then actually have to reaffirm your feminine even more. And you can share, one, you can lead him, right, without leading with your feminine. If he is not making the decision, you don't have to then turn around and make that decision for him, which is typically like, where should we go? I don't know, where you want to go. Well, somebody got to make, listen, here's what we're going to do. That's typically kind of like an example of that. You take over,
That's
Mm.
exactly what happens. It's a
Yes.
battle all the time. I try to give it to him. Well, will you decide? And it's like, please make a decision.
Yeah. And if you don't, and you're like, you know what? I need you to make the decision. I
But
really
guess what?
value your
Can I
decision.
jump in? A
Yes.
guy wanted to ask me out,
Mhm.
and because he couldn't make the decision, I
Bring it
knew up
back.
front it wouldn't work.
There you
I
go.
told him because he kept asking me, well, where do you want to go? And I kept giving him parameters. I said, it doesn't matter. I really don't care. Anywhere, wherever you decide, it'll work for me. Okay, what kind of food? I appreciated that question. Told him. He asked me what side of town I would be coming from. I told him, okay, I get that. He doesn't want me to have to drive too far. He's asking me all these questions to the point you still never make a decision. Then you decide, you ask me would a certain side of town work. I say yes, but then you send me a cut and paste list of all the restaurants in that area. You can't make a
Mm.
decision. I said, you know what? I'm actually going to take a rain check. I don't think it's going to be a good idea to meet.
And
And we
that's
never
fair.
went. Yeah, no. I'm like,
I
this
like
is who
that.
you are. This is who
Yeah.
you are. And it doesn't make him a bad dude. It's just like the whole
It's
relationship
not
was
right for you. Mhm.
right. It wasn't right for me.
Yes. And there's courage in this. I feel like a lot of men also don't know how to be in their masculine because, especially in our community, because so many of us take on that role consistently. I mean, some of it is historical because of what has happened with slavery and even in the diaspora with colonialism, that women have been in these roles where they've had to take on masculine. And so we've created these dynamics, or the dynamics have been created for us and we live in the dynamic. So a lot of our men are still struggling with that. But the way we shift that is to keep insisting. So the next time he comes to Tierra, if he does want to come back, is he's going to figure it out. Or the
But
next
this was
person
the
that,
thing.
yeah.
This was the thing, Kenneth.
Mm-hmm.
For some friends, he would be perfect because
Yeah.
they would just tell them, I want to have this restaurant and he would meet them. That would be great for them, right? But for
Exactly.
me, I was able to articulate to him, a man who can lead and make the decision is important to me because I have to make so many decisions already as
That's
an
right.
entrepreneur. And so I already know that would frustrate me and that would not be fair to him. So if you
Yes.
can't choose a restaurant, like I'm already strategizing all the time. It's going to
Yes.
feel really great for me to have that partner that, oh, babe, I have reservations for this, be here by this. I know that I appreciate that, right?
Yes.
And so he didn't take it personal once we had that conversation, but we didn't have that conversation till maybe 6 months later because, it's still a cool friendship. But I think sometimes just because someone is nice, we're moving forward into romantic and
Yeah, and
maybe
they're
it's
not
not moving.
necessarily a good match for you.
Right.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that because I think that's really important. And if you're in the relationship, then how do you do it? And you can have that, like Tara had said, the authentic conversation. I really value your opinion. I value what you have to say. I value your thought. I need your leadership on this matter. And so I know you may not be ready to make a decision tonight. I know you may not be ready to make a decision even this week. I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to wait, but I'm not comfortable. I want you to make this decision. And if you want us to talk about it, we can talk about it and strategize about it together. But it's important to me that you take the lead here.
Mm.
And you can share honestly from that place. If you're already in a relationship, right? Because you can't just discard all the time. It's now you're having these authentic conversations and then marrying that with your feminine behavior. So it's going to be difficult if you're just saying the words, but you're still exhibiting all the masculine.
Mm.
So you're not giving him the energy that he needs to support him. So you're not nourishing, you're not doing those other things that he needs because they need that too. And vice versa. That's why also we shift into a masculine where we don't get the protection and all of that other stuff, the support. We don't get that. So we shift. And this is the thing about when you get into these imbalanced relationships or you allow yourself to be out of balance in general, you start showing up in these wounded ways. And these wounded ways, another word that we use to describe it is toxic. I just choose wounded because wounded is a little bit more less judgmental, and it also helps women understand that it's not it's a diagnosis more than a judgment. So if you're wounded, you can get healed. But when we use the word toxic, sometimes we just lock, she's toxic, he's toxic. But these are things that we have, toxic masculinity looks this way: aggressive, abusive, controlling, dominating. So that's what toxic masculinity looks like. Toxic femininity, wounded femininity, manipulative, this using sex and affection as a weapon, needy, always the victim, codependency, totally disempowered, easily offended, the one who's always stirring the pot, going behind the door, doing all these sneaky things, passive aggressive. That's wounded feminine. So when we show up these ways, and often when you're out of balance and you're doing these, trying to like fit into other people's modalities, you'll show up in these ways. Most women I know that are being masculine because they're in a relationship with someone who isn't, they show up in wounded masculine. And women who are in a relationship where they're masculine, they don't have the boundaries, they don't have, that healthy masculine at all. So they're in these relationships that are oppressive with men who are in their wounded masculine, they show up in the wounded feminine. They're the ones that are sort of disempowered. He's always doing something to me. You just don't know he's awful. But they don't take any of their power. They don't see that they have any power. And so it's critical for us to be aware of these things and to continue to do the work to refresh ourselves. So when you are in a relationship, like Erica, thank you so for being so willing to share your story. If you're in that kind of scenario, what do, right? One of the things is to be really intentional about taking care of yourself. Intentional about, okay, as a feminine being, I need to restore my feminine energy. So these are some things that I'm talking about, but I want to just like go back to one of the things Sierra was talking about, sensuality. So like with restoring my feminine energy for me, here's some of the things that I do just even on the regular. One, when I take a bath and I come out of the bath, so even at night, especially at night, I use a healing oil. I make the oil myself, and the oil, I put lavender in it, and I like to luxuriate in it, right? Because I was saying this morning, I was teaching a class this morning, I said, how many people, when you put lotion on, it's like you're at war with yourself. It's like you're just like quickly putting it on because you're in a rush. Like you just want to make sure all the ash is gone. Like it's war. What if you, at least every so often, just really took the time? Like for me, so I'll do a scrub, like a salt scrub, and then I put on my oils, and I take the time and I appreciate that my skin really glows. And I'm like, look at that beautiful brown skin. Like I have a moment and I'm touching myself and I appreciate just the quality of my skin, right? And I appreciate, and I will say loving things to myself as I'm putting at night, especially when I have more time, I'll put it on and I'll say loving things to myself and remind myself. And I didn't always used to do that, but I like to do it, right? And it's not about who I'm getting into bed with or not, because even if I'm getting into bed by myself, I'll do it and I like to smell myself like, ooh, you smell good, right? And I'm in bed by myself. So these little things, actually make a big difference. Teaching yourself to be still. Meditation is a very powerful tool to restore yourself. Training yourself to be still. I think I hear somebody. Someone want to say something? Okay, I'll keep going. Training yourself to be still. Stop living in fight or flight mode. So many of us are in this stage. There's some of us we have been so used to trauma. A lot of us are really familiar with trauma and drama. We're so familiar with it. We expect it. We create it. When we don't have it, we feel uncomfortable. And so we only know how to exist in this state of heightened adrenaline, heightened cortisol. So we're just constantly in this state. So we have to train ourselves to become more familiar with peace and kindness and love. You have to start letting yourself be loved and to be loved. So if you're someone that has not been receptive, or maybe because a lot of times with women who have never received love, right, they've never been receptive, they've actually trained everyone around them not to give it to them. So they've trained everyone around them to take. And so when I have these conversations, they're like, you don't understand, everyone around me is so selfish. They only think about themselves. They never give me anything. Often it's because we've taught them how to treat us. So if you're that mother that doesn't get a Christmas gift, guess what? Somehow you have trained everyone around you that you're not important. And so one of the things is to start retraining them. But in the process of retraining them, it's to start taking care of yourself. So let me give you an example from my life years ago. I remember once having an argument, right? And we were having an argument. We had all gone on vacation, right? At the time, my husband, my kids, we were all on vacation, and something had happened, and we just had an argument. The old me would have gone into wounded feminine, manipulative, passive aggressive, withholding, whatnot. But because I had really been learning about this, I knew that I was not happy with his behavior. I had told him that I wasn't happy with it, but I chose to take care of myself in the moment. And so I went off to the spa. I didn't have a conversation with anybody. I just went off to the spa, and I took a nice 2-hour sort of treatment where I was being massaged and loved and just pampered. And when I came back, I was so relaxed, and he immediately started to apologize. I just really want to tell you, I thought about this, I was wrong and all of that. And I said, I totally understand. And it was amazing because that situation before, the whole vacation would have been ruined. But with the ability to say, I need to take care of myself, and that's my responsibility to return to my feminine. I'd already said to him, this is not okay. I don't appreciate this. I'd said what I needed to say, and I left it. But now I'm taking care of myself. It's not your responsibility to do this. I'm going to do this for me until you now know. As soon as I got back, he had not only apologized, he started to pour the love back on. So these are like examples. And I see this happen over and over again. When you start training yourself, when you start loving on you, there is nothing. Have you ever seen a woman who's in love with herself? I'm not talking about intoxicated with herself. I'm not talking about, full of herself, like in an arrogant way, but she really genuinely loves how she is. She's comfortable in her own skin. Isn't it like impossible to take your eyes off her? And it's not about how she looks, or she could be light skin, dark skin, thick, skinny. It doesn't matter. It's just like, wow, there's something about her energy. You have to stop being afraid to trust your soul intelligence, like I say. That's that intuition part of yourself. There's part, like you might be in a relationship and your soul is telling you every day, you need to be out of this relationship. But because the world is telling you, girl, there's only so many men, they're all the same, or whatever the world is saying, you ignore the parts of you that are saying, no, this is not good for you. You ignore your truth. You diminish yourself. We have to stop being afraid to trust that part of ourselves. We have to start paying attention to our symptoms. So when you start manifesting in the wounded feminine, or wounded masculine, so when you're overly critical, and you know this when people are like, gosh, mom, you always say something negative. Or, yeah, I knew I shouldn't have told you, you're going to kill my joy. Or, people will say it to you. They'll share with you the experience they're having of you. That's a symptom. When you're losing your temper just all the time, it's a symptom. These are symptoms that you need to pay attention to and stop and say, what's going on with me? What is causing me to be wounded? We have to stop making unconscious choices. So I love Tiara's story about, listen, if you can't make a decision about where we're going to eat, she made a conscious decision that, you know what, you're not going to be a good fit for me. But most of us aren't thinking to that, level. We're not intentional. We just go with the flow. He's cute, he asked, and we go. This position is available. I like the salary. We don't ask ourselves, is the culture the right fit for me? Is this going to be good for me? Should I work with this person? We don't think about those things. We just make these choices that are just unconscious. Sometimes we're making choices driven by our fear. When if we would take a pause, we would then make a conscious choice driven by our faith. We have to start identifying the lies and telling the truth. So that moment of being able to say, wow, I've been living this way for so long. For me, this was really critical. I know I'm very different from who I was even 5 years ago. I'm very different from who I certainly was 10 years ago. And there was a time when I had trouble with affection. There was a time when I had trouble with just being loving. And I am clear on the kind of woman I know I can be, I want to be. And I want to have a certain type of home, and I want people to feel a certain way in my presence. And I'm cultivating the very best part of me that way. And so in order for me to do that, I had to start identifying the lies I had been told about myself, the lies I had been told about women, the lies I had been told about the world, and start really telling the truth about who I was, what I wanted. I have no problem saying I love a certain type of man. I love to be a certain type of woman. I'm not trying to and there's no weakness in it. If you're a woman who leads with her masculine, wonderful for you. Do it. I love it. But you have to be truthful to who you really are and how you best show up. We have to start giving ourselves complete and full permission to live and rise into that woman that you desire to be. A lot of us are afraid. We don't know if we can really be that woman. We've been this woman for so long. But that woman who you are inside, that woman who God has really created to be, is calling to you every day. Like, come on, you could, come on, Ekene, come on, Tiara. That part of you is there. And it's work. It's like, I don't know if I can do it. I have to leave this stage where I know how to be this woman, whether I like it or not. I know how to be her. And now you're asking me to go over here. I don't know how to be that woman. I'm scared.
That is so good, Kenneth. I I just screenshot that list because I'm
Mm.
gonna go back to that list.
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome. I was thinking about the how again for those people who are ready to tap into it. And another thing, you touched on smell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did a quick little, because you know me, I'm similar. I start researching. I did a quick little Google real
Mm-hmm.
quick on how to start to tap into it. And I found this article that said something about unblocking it. And I think similar to what you're saying. And I just wanted to share that exactly what you said, the sensuality piece.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this exercise with, I do bubble baths, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, it's not the act of I'm just taking a bubble bath to relax and loosen up my muscles,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just to relax. It's to tap into the sensuality of our body and our being. And
Yes.
they said to tap into all five senses.
Yes.
That is huge, right?
It
Like you just
is.
said, you smell good for yourself. So when
Yes.
you get your pamper yourself with the body oil that smells great to you
Mm.
and a
And you
chocolate
feel it
covered
too.
strawberries. Yep. Your
Yes.
chocolate covered fruit and the
Yes.
candles because you're beautiful, because
That's
you're
right.
royal, and I'm just turning into a goddess.
Yes. Oh
Um,
my. Mm.
yep, right?
Mm, mm, mm.
When
Yes.
we feel that and you own that, you're gonna attract, you're right.
You
You're
will
gonna attract.
attract a king.
Yep.
Yes, you will. Because he's looking for that. I mean, think about that Esther experience again, right? It was a whole year of that. And that's another thing. We're not patient. Sometimes you did it for one night. Like, where is he? What's going on? Like, it's a consistency. I tell you, Tara, this thing you talked about, the senses, right? The sensuousness. We at our retreat in November, we are having, there's a sensory experience. So I always keep a little mystery. And I have an experience designed for the senses. And this is the feminine energy experience. So
Mm.
it's all about the senses. They're going to be moving around in San Juan, going through this sensory experience that is designed to reawaken and restore. And they're doing it together with, all the other women. And it is so powerful. I can come. I 100% can testify, as Sarah can, as well. It is a game changer. It
What
is
are
a
the
game
dates again?
for the
Again.
retreat.
Hmm.
Well, we have October 31st to the 3rd, but really the tickets for the Thursday to Sunday is our platinum ticket. I think we have like just two left. We have Friday to Sunday, so people can come Friday to Sunday. The experience I'm talking about is on Saturday.
Okay.
Thursday is really where we do more high masterminding and leadership work. And then Friday to Sunday is that restorative. That's that. If you're wanting to restore your feminine energy, that is where you need to come and you will have an extraordinary time. It's
Mm.
all on my website. If you go to refreshleadershipretreat.com, you'll get that information, but it's on my website.
I
And I
saw the
have,
brochure. It was beautiful.
yes, thank you. I'm excited. And this is our fifth one. I also have a gift for you guys. So it's a 7-day. I'm going to send it, Tiara. I don't have I thought I'd have the link, but I have to get one of my assistants to have her send it to you tomorrow. The link I have a 7-day video series.
Hmm.
And it's like to restore your to reawaken your feminine essence and restore your feminine energy. 7
Okay.
days, these like little, every day, if you do one thing on the video, you will begin to awaken that part of yourself again,
Oh my
because
God.
it's so critical. So I hope this has been helpful.
Oh my God. Me and Erica, I don't know what the other ladies are thinking because they're Lander, can you speak? Can anyone else on mic and give some feedback on tonight? Because I feel like a kid on Christmas.
Thank you, Bow Legacy.
Renee loves it. Renee's in Orlando near a lot of the other ladies you introduced me to. She is a first lady of a church there.
Oh, wonderful. I love first ladies.
Yep, 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 yep.
Yes, yes, yes.
Renee, Renee is on tonight, and yeah, she's still there. She would be awesome. Oh, I, I was talking to Renee about joining us in Africa. She just couldn't make it happen.
Oh, I know.
But I think Renee, if you can make this one happen, this feels like very in alignment with some of the private conversations we've had. This would really pour into her in the areas that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. And especially as a first lady, you get depleted so quickly. And it's so necessary, yes. And Lander says, I'm just longing to get back to my feminine. I love it. I know. But here's the thing. I think Tiara said something so critical. What I find is that women who are in their masculine, they're like, what do I need to do to get back into my feminine? Because they're used to doing. But the first is to start with the being, the acknowledging, the recognition that you are a feminine being, and really just taking more time to be and honoring what yourself is telling you. Because sometimes it's like, can we just stop? Can we just sit and have a cup of tea? Can we just lay down? Can I just get a hug? Can I just get a kiss? Some of those things that, excuse me, we just have, they come, right? And we are not listening to that part of ourselves. We're trying to do what everyone else is. We're trying to do enough. I have to do all the dishes. I have to do all the whatever. Sometimes I'm just going to sit down. Loide, how do you say that? Loide.
Yeah, that's it. She lives in Lloyd. Are you in
That's
Tanzania?
beautiful. Oh, really? Hello.
Are you in
Thank you.
Tanzania? Is it
Loide,
Tanzania? Nambia, yeah.
Namibia. Oh,
Hmm.
I know some people from Namibia. Thank you, Loide. She said, I started praying today out loud in need of a spouse and asked God to help me get there. And honestly, I think this is the first of answers. Amen.
Ooh,
Amen. That is wonderful.
I'm
Yeah,
telling y'all,
that is
I'm
such a
telling you,
powerful thing.
this is an answered prayer for all of us. I'm telling you,
Including, yeah.
I am shifting again. I'm
Mhm.
telling you, I'm shifting again. One other tip that helped me, Akene,
Yes.
when we talk about the five senses,
Hmm.
we did talk about the oils, the
Hmm.
perfume, the candles, the fruit.
Hmm.
I noticed that when I got intentional about the fabrics I picked out too with
Mm-hmm.
my clothing, I did it a lot once I lost all my weight because I had more options. I'm
Hmm.
not giving it as an excuse. I'm just saying it's real.
No, this is the
You have
truth.
a lot more options. The silk and the lace, the
Hmm.
delicacy of that fabric on my
Hmm.
body, oh my God. It
Hmm.
felt great, and it was just this aura. It's this energy, and when you have soft fabrics on, you move differently.
You feel a certain way, yes.
Yep. Yep.
And the feminine wants to be seen too. Like I have these flowers in my room. I buy myself flowers as often as I can. I have these beautiful orange roses. They're right by in my room near my bed. And so when I get up in the morning, like they're in bloom right now. So yes, just this morning I was like, look at you showing off. Ooh. And I touched a petal. I was like, you're so beautiful. I'm just appreciating the beauty of this rose. And it's just like blooming, just beautifully showing off and beautifully celebrating what it's created to be. And that's also how I think about when women are in their feminine and they're thinking about their clothing. It's not about, again, attracting anyone's gaze. It's, I am a beautiful woman. God made me so, and I'm going to celebrate that. And so I want to feel great with great things on my body. So it's not itching. It's not, it doesn't feel funny. And I'm at a certain age. I don't know about you, Tara, but I'm at an age where I want soft fabrics. I'm not interested in being restricted or stressed out. I just want to flow.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
I feel like you said, a certain way when things are, I actually get really bothered when things are hard, bothering my skin. So things have to feel a certain way now for me to buy them. But then I'm looking for color where before it was all black all the time. Nothing's wrong with that necessarily, but I am honoring the fullness of who I am. And again, if you think about that, like Loide, that, you know, she's honoring this desire, right? So Loide, I wouldn't even say it's a need, it's a desire for a spouse. So,
Yeah.
you know, you desire it. And desire is a powerful thing. Desire is the seed of intention. So you have a desire. This is what I want. You've prayed about it, and now you release it so you're not attached to it, so that not every man that comes your way, you're like, is he the one? Because that's masculine, because you're trying to grab him and pull him in. You've said your desire, you've talked about it with God, you've released your attachment to it, and then you just start being in the world in your feminine.
Ooh,
You will attract.
you are an answered prayer today. Oh my God. I need to hear that sentence right there. That sentence, the desire, the intention, and now we just flow.
You just
now
flow.
We
Trust
flow.
it's going to come. Trust, you know, you just keep being you, showing up as a queen, you know.
But the thing is, Akine, that's what happens. You end up with so many options.
That's right. That's right. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. They can't help it.
Right.
Walk. Yes, yes, you do. And that's where you have to have that clarity. And that's where your healthy masculine has to be healthy as well. So you have to have the clarity. You have to have the confidence to be able to say, okay, this is right, this isn't right. Like, you have to have a sense of, what am I here to do? So for me, I know I'm not interested in just a man. It's a purpose partner.
Right.
And so I have to be clear on my purpose. I know I see something lighting up. Someone is just like chomping at the bit to say something.
I think that's Godmom Lander.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have just been just amazed by this whole subject matter. It's just, I mean, just thinking about where I used to be and how I used to just oil myself down and take the long baths. And, you know, I redid my bathroom over, I guess, a couple of months ago. And I've only been in there one time because I've been in the shower, jumping and running out. And like you say, just putting some lotion on. And so fast that one day I walked out and I didn't even put the lotion on. I was moving so quick.
Yes.
So I'm just saying, and when I got there, I'm saying, anybody got some lotion? And then somebody said, well, they got some jerseys. But I said, that is not what I'm talking about. You know, that's not what And so I just thought about, you got to slow down and take care of yourself and just be intentional about it. I went to look at my collection of bath products, and to the nail, you know, just the therapeutic stuff, the stress release, you know, the sleep, you know, that kind of stuff, but nothing that was to my feminine side, that I just wanted to be in my bed and just smell myself again.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just thinking that, I mean, that has just done it for me tonight, okay?
This is awesome.
All of that. And then when you start talking about the flowers, I used to do my flowers every week.
Yes, right.
Oriental lilies were my favorite because they're so fragrant. I got back to being me.
That's right. So that's right, ma'am. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we do. We have to get back to being me. I love it. Yes.
I'm starting tonight. Let me tell you. Akina, I told Erica Bishop, I already told her about, was it 2 months ago, a month ago, that I was on Operation Goddess. And Operation Goddess is this whole transformation, and I'm like, get my goals down, and what does that look like? But because I had started tapping into this, but you took it to a whole nother level tonight, because you really, for me, really brought home the importance of just being and receiving, because I'm such a doer and helper, and I'm thinking this is good in relationships. But the being, just that flower just gliding through the space of the house, smelling good, looking great, Yes,
You
you're
know?
smart. Yes, you're strong. Yes, they
Yeah.
know if they have a question. Thank God I have a smart woman that can answer this question, but you don't have to keep offering all of that information all the time,
That's
right?
right. That's
And
right.
that's why that other guy wouldn't work for me, because he would irritate me.
Mm-hmm.
Because he could never be in his own space and strong enough to make decisions and lead, so that I could just be. It's almost like you helped me articulate what I wanted without knowing exactly how to articulate what I was drawn to in a man. And that's what I hear Erica saying. The guy who's strong enough within his own identity
Yeah.
allows a woman to just be.
Yes, absolutely. I know for me, 100%, I need a man who is in his healthy masculine. I cannot, it's going to be very difficult. And I can't be with a toxic masculine either. It has to be
Right.
someone who is in that healthy masculine place. Yeah, I 100% agree. And so many of them, so many of our men are yearning for that too.
Right.
They are.
I think for me, my best experience to date has been with a guy that actually he could tap into both like I could.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes,
I
yes.
love that because,
Balanced.
yep, I felt that we just knew, like we just flowed together in that. It was just like when my masculine would come out, if we were out and something, just I'm very expressive. He's very laid back. But whenever something needed to be handled, I didn't have to ask him to step up into it. He would naturally just step up into that when it called for it. Right. And
Yes,
I
yes.
always felt safe. I always felt that I could just be in his presence. But if I wanted to express, he was never intimidated by that, because it's just who I am. So,
Yes. And if you are expressing it, like if you're with someone who he's balanced, right? And he's clear on his masculinity, then even when you show up a little in your masculine, you'll find that that kind of man will do something like, so maybe you might be saying something. Have you ever seen like those, especially these older men, old couples, and she is, showing up in her masculine, maybe, hands on hip or something along those lines, and he'll put his arm around her, come on, baby, or something like that. Come on. Like
it's all right.
he'll do
Yep.
something into her, like, and she will immediately melt right back into feminine. Have you seen that happen? Like, he will
Yes.
just
Yes.
call out the feminine in her, like, oh, baby, come on. Like, there's a way. He won't try to dominate her. He'll just reach in and pull, like, he'll breathe that nurturing, like, he'll show her, I got you, protect. There's something. I don't know how to quite have the words right now, but I've seen it happen enough times, especially with the older men that
I'm
had that.
telling you, Akene, that just happened with me. That my
Yeah.
best relationship, we saw each other, and I told my godmom, I've never, ever in my life had a man just hold me. I just melted
Mm,
right into his. He just,
mm,
the hug was 15 to 20 minutes. It
mm,
wasn't a groping and
mm,
make out session. It was literally, we could not leave we were at the restaurant,
mm,
held me. The
mm.
people there are like, this is so beautiful. Just
Yes.
a beautiful, safe,
Mm,
sincere holding. And
mm,
it's like you just don't have to always be strong. You don't have to
mm.
always figure it out. You can just be. And it was just so beautiful. I'm like, wow, we don't have enough of that type of intimacy, but it
Yeah.
took a long time for me to get to this space to appreciate moments like that, because I was so all over the place all the time, busy, 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 and feeling like I'm doing a great job because all this stuff needs to get done. Who's going to do it?
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right.
So I commend the ladies, because we still have to get it done, but we can be that feminine energy while we take care of our lives. And sometimes we do have to take some stuff off our plate, bottom line.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well said.
Well, thank you so much. It has been awesome. Akine, I think, did you join the When Women Heal group?
I don't, how do I join the group? Did I
I
join
think
it? I don't
Pam
know.
may have added you in there, but I want to make sure these ladies
where is it?
retreat. It's on Facebook, but
Oh,
you know
no.
what you can do? You can go to my Facebook wall and put the retreat link, so even my followers can see it.
Okay.
Who aren't on this call.
Thank you.
And then put the podcast link.
Okay.
So that anybody who, like, in the ladies here, if you enjoyed tonight, please leave a testimonial on my Facebook wall under her flyer, because people are missing out on this free community training, and it is top notch, high
It
quality
is to be
training.
free. It's
Yes.
amazing. Yes. And how do I join the group? Do I get in? Just look for When Women Heal?
Yeah, I think you just requested, but I think Pam may have added you. I think because I saw her tag you on the flyer earlier inside the group. But on my wall will be public, and anybody searching will see it. But ladies, please leave a testimonial for tonight. I think that sometimes people don't know what to expect. And so we have to do a better job at getting the testimonials out after each facilitator, because it's life-changing. It's life-changing. This somebody's going to be married in the next. I'm telling you, somebody is getting engaged or married in the next.
Don't forget to invite us.
Look, don't let it be me. I'm definitely gonna let you know, honey. I owe you.
You better.
I owe you one.
You better. I want to be there dancing. Yes.
Okay, ladies. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And Miss Akina will put the retreat information on my wall, as well as the podcast, so you can continue to listen to her. How often are the new podcast segments uploaded?
For now, every week.
Every week, okay.
Yes, and we have interviews, but I also have sessions that I do.
Nice. Okay, so a weekly, you can hear from her every week. And how do they join your community? Is it they visit the website and put their email in?
So I have a free community that's refresh360woman.com. Yeah, refresh360woman.com. And once you go in there, it's like you just ask to join. Just click on it, ask to join. We ask you a question like, why do you want to join? And then you'll get approved, and we'll send you a link to join. And it's like our own group. So instead of a Facebook group, we have this, it allows you to see the members a little differently. And we wanted to try this platform. So it's Refresh 360 Woman. So I just put it in the chat box, but I'll put it on your link as well. Yes. And I will send you guys the link so that you can get the 7-day videos of the different things to do to restore your feminine energy.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Erica, did you want to pray us out tonight?
Yes, please. Ooh, yes.
Yes, please. Oh, I just have to say before I pray, this has given me some new prayer points to take to the Lord, and has answered a lot of questions for me for some things that I had been talking to God about. So I just appreciate it so much. May the Lord bless you for sharing.
I receive it. Thank you.
And
Erica, we talk about this for real, don't we?
Yes, ma'am, we do. And it answers so much for me. It answered so much for me. And that one relationship, because I was in a masculine place with my ex-husband for years. And the one man that I was able to be feminine with, the first time he hugged me, I cried.
Oh my God.
Ooh, I felt that in my heart. Oh, yeah.
Because it had been 12 years. It was so much. And that's a whole nother story by itself. I literally broke down and cried from a hug, because I had not had that in so long. And so I can totally relate to what Tiara was saying. You just melt in that space. And when you even think about submission and the words, you yield so easily to someone who has that balance. And he had such a sense of confidence, but he could also cry at the same time. And it was such a beautiful thing to see. And it just allowed you just walk in a different space, and I just know that the Lord is going to bless me with it again, because that's my heart's desire. So
Yes.
I'm good. Bless God. So we're going to go ahead and pray. So, Father, we thank you. We give you glory. We give you praise, and we give you honor. Father, we just thank you so much for what we have heard tonight. And Father, I just pray, God, that you would just bless the woman of God who shared with us on tonight in such a mighty way, God. It was her testimony, her process that has brought the anointed to even break yokes off of us on tonight. Things that we did not even know that were there, God. You set us free and have just propelled us to another place in you. So, Father, we just give you so much glory for that. Father, these things that used to hinder us and that were balls and chains on a part of our lives that we did not even know that were there. There were weights that we were carrying that we did not really understand what was keeping us weighed down. But God, I thank you that we have been released like a butterfly on tonight to fly into the new dimension of femininity, to be in this place of understanding the power of that and the freedom of it, oh God. So, Father, I just thank you, Lord, that we can be exactly who you have called us to be, and we don't have to change. Who we are dictates what comes to us. So, Father, we thank you for this new place that we're in, this place that we had already tapped into, this place that you had already confirmed in our spirit, God, and we do it unapologetically. So we thank you, God, for the energy that we will bring forth, because that's how you made us as your daughters, as your women, as the women of God that you have already called us to be. So, Father, we're just so excited about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And we bless you right now in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You ladies, you have a beautiful evening, and please leave your feedback for Miss Akine on the wall.
Yes.
And thank you again for blessing us and helping us to elevate to the next level.
Thank you so much for having me. God bless all of you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.